Hey, everybody. Hey, welcome Enlightened Woman Tribe. Whether you are joining via the Enlightened Woman Facebook page or you are joining via the YouTube channel, welcome to Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K. That would be me. I am Dr. K. We are gathered in this sacred and safe place for Midlife Musings. This is the place and the space where women of like mind can rediscover the joy of being themselves in midlife and beyond. So, welcome to this sacred space, and not just welcome, we are celebrating your presence, celebrating your life, your isness, your ability to redefine what midlife is for us, especially as Black women. Hey, Myra, good evening. Welcome to the meditation. Look, welcome back to the meditation room, right? We are redefining what it means to be in midlife. We are not going to necessarily embrace per se midlife crisis because we know it can be challenging, but that we face it with vulnerability, with open hearts, open minds, to allow this season to help us redefine what that means so that we're not stuck in what they call a crisis, but we are redefining it as midlife revelation, getting that aha, getting that insight into who we really are, and that it's actually time to prioritize ourselves, right? And not putting everything and everybody before us, continuing to suppress our dreams and even self-oppress ourselves, believing what somebody else has told us that we are and who we are, right? I love to call it a midlife creativity, not crisis, because we are recreating and or recreating the life that we've seen in our dreams and in our hearts and in our minds and in our spirits. So for the past few weeks, we've been talking means to be whole. So we talked about self-acceptance, and we talked about healing, the fact that wholeness requires a journey, because the truth of the matter is if you lived in any amount of time in this earth, there's been some things that may have traumatized you, hurt you, even broke you, and that this season we can stop and take the time to heal, right? And so we talked about healing and what that meant. And then we talked about whose script are you living, right? Whose story, whose narrative have you been living by? Whose voices are in your head? Who do you hear? What experiences have you had that you put a certain meaning to it and then began to live by that and discovered, guess what? That that's not your life, that you living somebody else's life. So, right? So we're on this journey to midlife wholeness, and no shame here, no guilt here, right? We might have some regrets, but we're praying that as we spend time in this space together and encourage one another, that what may have been a regret, we've learned how to count our blessings and cut our losses and shift the meaning that we've given to some experiences that we've had in our lives. And remember, we said that experiences and circumstances are not our identity. It's a part of what we are facing and experiencing in life. Woo! Hey, Subi. Hey, Tammy. Welcome, welcome. I know I had to take a moment and go back to my girl, Layla Hathaway with Breathe. I was so busy talking, I forgot to tell y'all to kind of focus in on that and hear that and pay attention to that song, Breathe, because that's where I feel like I am today. And in this moment, I just need to to breathe. It's been one of those days. How many of y'all had those days, right? And I know that's everybody, where it starts off great and you have plans and you know what you plan to do that day, and then something shifts your day, right? Even shifts your mindset and your spirit, and you have to shift your focus. And you didn't think you were going to have to do that and expend that type of energy. And so it was that kind of day today. And so I'm really just trying to catch up, recenter myself, and refocus and make sure I don't ascribe to that shift today um, something more than it was, right? And just hold on to my peace and my groundedness. So how y'all doing today? I'm so glad to see y'all. It was such a crazy kind of, no, I take that back. I'm not going to characterize it as that. It was challenging my resolve for the day. So I had to kind of regroup and readjust. And my whole body actually was trying to readjust. I had my second dose of COVID-19 vaccine on Friday, and I did not have um, a very bad reaction or adverse side effects or symptoms, but I did have a little fatigue, mild headache, and some little bit of chills. Most of all, mostly fatigue. So I'm literally just kind of trying to climb back on. I had to um, preach on Sunday, so I had to kind of push myself. And so, yeah. So today was the first day I kind of start feeling back to myself, but I'm okay with that. I was prepared for that. I was ready for that. And I'm grateful for that. Grateful that I was able um, to be afforded that opportunity. And I'm putting it out there for everybody, those of you who can. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do it or not to do it. It certainly is up to you and it's your discretion. But I think we should make sure that we do all that we can to make sure our community, especially Black people, and in particular Black women, who so many are trying to just fight back to survive and thrive. We want you to stay healthy. Staying healthy is resistance. Right, to beat back oppression. So yes, Subi said today was different, a little strange for you too. Yeah, and maybe what's going on, and we so connected. Maybe, maybe that's it too. So that's good. So Tammy said powerful medicine. So it is. So I'm just kind of getting my sea legs back, as they say, getting my full strength back on today. But I'm grateful. I'm not complaining at all. I'm absolutely grateful. But being honest about, where I am in my energy and what's going on today. So I'm so excited to see y'all because y'all helped me. Y'all strengthened me. Myra, did you just say today was strange for you too? What? I'm gonna have to check to see what was going on today. And right, today was International Women's Day. Today, I'm sure you may have heard that or known that or seen that. So today was International Women's Day. But I'll have to check and see what's going on in the spirit, right? In the atmosphere, what's going on that we're having these strange, feelings for today, these strange emotional feelings. I didn't look outside and see what was going on with the moon. I don't know what kind of moon we have right now or what kind of spiritual season is happening for us in this month of March, right? This month of March, guys, y'all, this is the first Monday in March, a brand new month. It's Women's History Month, right? And I want to encourage you and remind you that you are a history maker wherever you are, whatever you're doing in the earth, whatever energy you're putting back out in the earth, whatever persons and people you've decided to help, even if it's yourself. You are a history maker. So yay. Hey, Miss Dana Dane. Right, she said she got her J&J shot today. Well, all right. Come on, Black women. Make your health a priority and know that your being healthy as Black women in the earth is resistance. We are resisting the devil with everything we have. We are resisting oppression in whatever form it looks like. We are resisting it by staying healthy. So, yeah, so that's excellent, excellent. And tell us how it was, because we need that research, because they don't do too much of research on us as a people, because we are not a monolith, and we're certainly not like Caucasians. That our bodies is different, and we respond to things differently. So we need to help them, right? To know what to look for and how we respond and what's going on. And we need to make sure as many people as want to be vaccinated get vaccinated. And we're praying that with the approval of the J&J and no more bad weather, that more of the vaccine will get delivered to the places it needs to get delivered to, so more and more people can be vaccinated if they want to. Um, I was trying to look at it, ended with a strange kind of racial thing that threw me off with the coworker. Woo, Myra. Don't, woo, sister, don't get us started on that. Yeah. Hey, Carolyn. Hey, Sister Max. Yeah, that whole what we call microaggressions or macroaggressions in the workplace, that we are clear is racial, and other people try to make us think like we're crazy, like that's not what we're seeing, that's not what we're feeling, or that's not what's happening, when in fact it is what's happening. And so I'm praying for your peace and your strength in that situation when we have to meet it. Anybody else knows what that's like, to have a day and have to be met face to face with the reality of racism in your workplace, and it makes you feel some kind of way, right? And then when people pretend like that's not what's happening and that's not what they're doing. I don't know if that's the case with Myra, but I'm saying we sense that and feel that in our spirit. That's because that's the energy that's out there. And the energy that we feel more than likely is the truth. We're not always right. Sometimes we project, but a lot of times the intuition of women to be able to read a room and read a situation and read somebody's intent is real. And you need to learn how to embrace that and know it and receive it for what it is. So, all right. And y'all can share about that if you've experienced that and how you've dealt with it. Help a sister out. All right. So today I want to continue our conversation on our journey to midlife wholeness. And we were talking about healing. I kind of got distracted looking at the comments. So we talked about, the last time we talked about whose script are you living, right? Whose story, whose narrative, whose voices are you hearing in your head? And I want to talk about healing also through change. We'll just take a few moments and talk about healing through change. I laugh sometimes because, that is the title, the quote unquote title or name for this season for most of us in midlife, right? They call it the change. Man, if that's not an understatement, I don't know what is, right? The change. At least when they called it that, they knew that women were going through some changes. But by and large, they were talking about the physical changes where you're going through menopause, where you're headed towards that place where you're no longer having a cycle. And so that's the change that's happening in your body, that you are no longer in your productive years. And when I mean reproductive years, rather, I should say, no longer in your reproductive years, and that whole thing begins to change, right? And so I'm talking about that, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about healing through change, allowing yourself to embrace the emotional, psychological, physiological changes that you're going through and see it as a rite of passage into fully embracing who you're becoming in this season. And change for some of us may include how we think, first of all, about ourselves, right? How we speak, the words, the energy, the seeds that we're putting out there about ourselves and about our lives. And some of us have gotten to the place where we've identified that we want change in other areas of our lives, like our finances or our physical health, that we might want to get healthier, or we just want to think more positive, or we might want to be less afraid, right? Less self-conscious. How do you change those things? Because I know for me, some things happen, it just is so imperceptible, and it's a part of the mystery and spirit and divineness of midlife, that some of it just kind of happens. You don't have patience for the same kind of things. You don't have the bandwidth to receive and deal with the things that you used to put up with or used to deal with. So sometimes that change just happens, but we want it to be an intentional, strategic change that creates the healthy, well-rounded, holistic life that you want to experience, right? So when you think about your life and where you are now, what area do you have an area? Can you identify and articulate an area in your life that you want to change, that you know is connected to your midlife wholeness, coming to a place where you're at peace with yourself and with your life, that you are open to explore and expand your thinking, your experiences? Because, of course, right now, certain things that we really cannot do because of the pandemic, but this is going to end at some point, right? And then, even without being able to do some of the things that we're used to doing, can we give ourselves to be creative to experience some things, even with the restrictions that we're living with right now? So think about it for a few minutes. Talk back to me in the chat. Come on, sisters, y'all know how we do. Is there an area in your life that you want to change? Whew. Is there an area in your life that, as you reflect and look back over your life or look forward and know that there's some things that you want to do, but you know there's some things that you're going to have to do differently in order to get to where you want to be? So let's talk about that. Would that be, your physical self, taking care of your temple or your mental health? Would it be your finances? Would it be your relationship? Would it be how you relate to yourself? I want to say change is inevitable and change is good, and it is empowering when you look at yourself and you decide, I want to make a change. Not because you're trying to get somebody to love you, not because you're trying to be accepted, not because you're trying to be affirmed, but you are looking at your own life through your own lens and your own dreams and desires. And you say, in order for me to get there, I can't stay who I am to be who I want to be if who I am right now has not gotten me what I want or gotten me to where I want to be. So that means you have to change to become who you need to be, and sometimes who we really already are, but we have just dummied down or diminished it because we didn't want to offend anybody, right? Or turn anybody off or lose anybody. But when you look at your life and say, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, even at this stage, because there's no such thing as too late to go after your dreams, or I want to do some things around my home and make it more like me, that will reflect me, or I want to go for this position in my career where I am. If I'm not getting ready to retire and I'm still working, I want to go for this, or I want to be in a relationship, or I want to write a book, or I just want to be more positive, right? I just want to be more positive. I don't want to be Debbie Downer anymore. I want to be healthier, and I know I need to do X, Y, Z. Let's talk about that, right? Tammy said, change my physical self, more exercise to be healthier. Physical, financial, mental health, and companionship. So, right. That's what we're talking about. So, change is possible, right? I've been want to share a book with you that has been so powerful for me. I have a coach, and she gives us a reading list. And I said, I'm going to share with as many people as I want, as I can, and it's called Atomic Habits. And some of you may have already read it. If you're in leadership or personal development, professional development, it's one of the staples in the coaching industry, is a book called Atomic Habits. And these were things that we've talked about before, and intuitively and spiritually, we kind of talked about change, right? But one of the things that I think, for those of us who are in church and been in church for a minute, they kind of dull our senses, right? Our edge, because it's almost like we have to sit back and wait for some miraculous, right? Because we're always using the word deliverance and breakthrough. We're waiting for some miraculous thing to happen. But change, even in the spirit, can also be very simplistic and practical, right? That we don't have to, fast for 40 days, unless you just feel like you need to do that. I'm saying to get an answer about change. And the truth of the matter is, I just read it in such a practical way, in Atomic Habits, but it's what we've been preaching and teaching all along. So basically, the author is talking about change, that change happens when you change and embrace a new identity, right? Because change doesn't happen from the outside in, it happens from the inside out. And it happens when you begin to see yourself or shift your values to reflect what you want to see. So a simple, I'm not saying it is simple, I'm saying a simple, um, uh, I guess, example would be that he would say that if I want to stop smoking, right, then instead of saying, if somebody asks you how you're doing and you say, oh, I'm trying to quit, the author says, if you are trying to change and you want to change from within and change your identity, for instance, when somebody offered you a cigarette and you're trying to quit, instead of saying, I'm trying to quit, then you identify with who you're trying to be and say, oh, I'm not a smoker. That means a shift has taken place with your inner self, and you identifying with what you want to be, not a smoker. So they're saying you shift your values to say, my identity is based on my values that says I am no longer a smoker. Right? I value my health and my body. So that is not who I am. So I am not a smoker. Our language and our values about what we want to change. So if we say we want to exercise more, then you have to see yourself as a person who values physical fitness and begin to say, I am a person who values physical fitness, so that the things that I do reflect who I say I am. Are y'all getting this? Because I was like, that is so true. But that's what we've been teaching and preaching, is really what the text says, that we literally have to be what? Reborn again and live a brand new life, creating an identity that reflects what we believe. Oh my gosh. So if God says we're healed and we're whole and we're strong and we're worthy, we have to then see ourselves that way, and that is our identity. So we can't say, I'm trying to live up to God's expectation of being worthy, right? A lot of times they try to make women feel like they're not worthy, right? So then that means we have to embody the identity of self-worth and say, I am worthy. So when you shift your identity to a person who feels worthy, right, then your values change. Then you do things that line up with and reflect self-worth, which means you're no longer self-denigrating, no longer saying things that diminish your worthiness. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, it's like a whole mind reboot, right? To say, I am, like we would say stuff, and I love the book. It was giving examples, when people would say, oh, I'm not good at math, right? Or I'm not really an athletic person. Or, but we want to be healthy, but we say, I'm not really an athletic person. Or, oh, I don't do that. Or my family don't do that. Right? Because we can sabotage ourselves because we want something different, but we continue to say and believe something contrary to what we want. Do y'all hear me when I say? So we have to start saying, so if we want something different in our finances, we have to say, I am a wealthy person. I have a wealthy mindset, and I deserve to have um, a financial picture in my life that is no longer stressful or struggling. I'm not struggling. I have more than enough. So I have more than enough because I'm wise in money matters. You begin to speak like that I'm telling you, the universe, the Holy Spirit will begin to conspire to create opportunities to learn, put people in your path that want to share. Your mindset will begin to shift. You begin to open, because if you say, I'm not good with money, I don't know what to do with my money, I have all these bills, or I'm in debt, if you constantly say that, then your mindset, the energy that you have that you're giving off for this change can't happen unless you say, I welcome wealth into my life. I welcome knowledge and finances. I am capable of learning how to handle my money. I am capable and interested in growing in finances. I will, right, grow. I will learn how to manage. The difference between our identity, our values, our beliefs, that's where change happens. It's not going to just happen by osmosis, and it's not going to just happen because the Holy Spirit is just going to jump on you, right? We have to do our part with the switch. Even praying, Holy Spirit, help me to see and be clear about what I want to change in my life. Then help me to articulate it. Then help me to identify with that, to make that a part of my identity, to make that a part of my values. Right? Because the truth of the matter is we live our values. whether they're negative or positive, right? Our values is that place from which we live and make decisions, right? So our life will show what we value, what our values or mores are, right? What we've learned, what we live our life by, right? So, for instance, if a strong family or family life or whatever you want to describe that as is a value for you, then right, we put our family first. We pour into our family, or we do those things that create a closeness. Being close in your family is important. Then you make it important that your family gets together and you stay connected and you talk to one another, because that's a value. And we most of our values we learned in our family of origin, whether it's healthy or not healthy, dysfunctional, whatever we want to call that, whatever that means. Those are the values we've learned. So we have to figure out, what values are we really living by? What's pushing us? What gives us our identity? What do we really believe? Right? So we're talking about being whole, and we want to change something in our lives, then we have to say, do we really value being healthy? What is the identity that we're living that would reflect that? What belief do we have about it? It's too hard. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. Right? Because what you value and what you believe and is part of your identity, that even when it gets tough, is something that you'll still do. Duh, right? Man, can I tell you, that revelation is so important, because you are here in this space right now, hearing this and sharing with each other and talking about it, because you drew it to yourself, because you want something different for your life. That's good, right? So part of being a part of the Enlightened Woman tribe is an answered prayer. Is something in your spirit, is something that you drew to yourself, right? To help you connect those dots and take the steps to get the life that you see and desire and want. Man, are y'all with me on tonight? Are y'all hearing me? Say something in the chat. Talk about how you feel about what we're talking about right now. What is happening for you? Take a moment and reflect on it, and let's talk about that. Hey, Dina. I mean, that's why we're here, to encourage and strengthen each other and empower each other. Like, wow. And sometimes it's even hard to hear. Like, because the truth of the matter is, we can be our own worst enemy when it comes to growth and change for the better. Because old habits, even when they're not healthy, if they're a part of us and it's a part of our comfort zone, it's not easy to let go. So be clear, right? That we can have habits and thought processes, values, and even identify with something particular that is not serving us well, is not healthy for us, or not good for us, but we can still hold on to it, right? Because we haven't been able to release it for something else. And sometimes it's just a matter of hearing a revelatory word that is that shift, that moment. And then don't feel bad about it at all, because sometimes we're not ready. But when we're ready, we'll hear the word that we need to hear, that is our impetus and our fuel to shift, right? Because, like, even if you see that in somebody else, you can talk to you purple in the face, right? Or whatever. Until that person, until it clicks with them, they're not going to change. They're not going to do anything. You can't want something for somebody else more than they want it for themselves. So then apply that to our own lives, right? We have to get to the place where we want it enough, where we begin to pray about it, where we begin to ask God to help us, where we begin to ask God to show us, and God will begin, the Spirit will begin to show us and shift us to the place where we're ready. So that's how we gonna close. It's just, if you're ready, don't stress about, what your outcomes are right now, because then maybe you're not ready. But when you are, you'll be able to receive the word that God has given you to get you ready for the shift. Woo, woo, woo. Y'all good? Ooh. Like right now, like I always be trying to pretend like I can see when I can't see without my glasses. Right? I gotta put them on so I can see what y'all saying and stop struggling. Hey, Dana says, all that I'm learning to be a sister to myself, been a cheerleader for others, but haven't advocated for me. Come on here, sister. Enlightened woman, you are. That is so true. How many of you can resonate with that? That is so much easier, right? To be a sister to somebody else, to be a cheerleader and an advocate for other persons, but not take that on for your own self, right? And there could be some kind of belief there that, say, I'm not saying that's what you think, Dana, but I'm saying that there, when we do the reflection, in hindsight, it could be that subconsciously we might not think that we are worthy of that same type of support, or to get what we're always pushing other people to get. Marcia, it seems so daunting to change these things that are internal and external. It's the first step to breaking patterns from old hurt or old thinking. Absolutely. And it can be daunting, and it is daunting, and it can even be overwhelming. So just do something small. That's what atomic habits is about. Atomic, something that is just small. We get so overwhelmed because we think we need to make some big change, that all of a sudden in 1 week we're gonna start drinking water 2 and 3 4 times a day every day, and we give ourselves these big grand things to do, and then when we fall short, we're right back in that pit of disappointment, right, and resentment, and just like forget it. No, make one small change. When you reflect on what it is you want to change in your life as you're heading and journeying towards midlife wholeness, what area? Just think about one area. You don't have to do it all at once. Just one area that's important to you right now that you want to change. And then what is one small thing you can do, right? And do it right from inside. It has to be a belief that says, this is important to me, and this why I must change this. And this is the one small step that I'm going to change and do, and then celebrate myself for doing it. Yes. She says, I'm applying this to the socially acceptable habit of shopping. I'm confessing I'm an investor. Just started investing my allowance instead of buying clothes that I don't know when I'm even going to wear. Come on here. That is so good. And to me, that's the importance of self-reflection and being self-aware. We can't change if we are not even aware of our triggers or our challenging or bad habits, if you want to call it a bad habit. It could just be, something we call a bad habit could just be a survival technique or defense technique that we are, trying to address something outwardly that really needs to be addressed within, right? So we have to be self-aware about why we do certain things, why we say certain things, why we react a certain way. What is it that we're really dealing with, right, on the inside? So thank you for sharing that. That is so good, right? And because there's some things that are what socially acceptable, so we get away with doing it, but it could be detrimental for us. Just because the world, just because Madison Avenue, the advertisers, and everybody else says it's okay to do, right? But if it's not okay for us in this particular season in our lives, then it's not acceptable for us if in the long run it's going to cause us more pain. Man, that's so good. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you everybody for sharing, because that's the other thing. We can start feeling isolated and alone and thinking we're the only ones struggling with it, but we are not. So let's continue to encourage each other. Wow. That's all I have for tonight, y'all, because it has been a strange kind of day. So I'm going to figure out what's going on in the spirit. And even if I never find out, what I'm going to do is just rest and flow with it. Right. So let's just take, just a few moments as we close out. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me in meditation room for midlife musing, right? When this can be the most significant season of our lives as we reprioritize our lives to put us not on the back burner, not 10, 15 years down the road waiting for everything to be perfect, but right now, right? Living like we're worth the effort to do what needs to be done, right? So that we can see in this lifetime the life that we've always dreamed about manifest. I didn't say perfect. I didn't even say having everything, but that there's a peace. That's what midlife wholeness is having that peace and joy and assurance, right? That you are where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing, living the way you want to live, that groundedness, because things are still going to be happening in the earth, in the world, in your life. But being whole is having that centered place that keeps you grounded and at peace, and not allowing other things or people to disturb your place of centeredness, right? Yes, and enjoying those moments for what your life looks like, and not succumb to the tyranny of hurriedness and busyness and looking for and seeking approval outside of yourself. That's where we're trying to get to in midlife, right? So come on, join me. Take a few moments, take a deep breath in and exhale. Come on, enlightened woman. Take another deep breath in and exhale. Come on, take another deep breath in and exhale. What do you feel? Are you feeling any tension in any area of your body? Whether you're holding tension in your jaw, your neck, your shoulders, your back, your arms. Do you feel tension in your stomach, right? Or anywhere where we tend to hold tension as women? Let's take another deep breath in. Put your hand on your stomach and just breathe in and release it. And find a place to pay attention to your body and what you're feeling. And one more deep breath in as we close out tonight, ladies. Deep breath in. Receive all that God has for you and release it. Breathe out. Release anything and everything, any weight, any negativity, anything you experienced today, that challenged your peace, and reclaim it in this moment. Yes. Thank y'all for joining me for one more Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K. We are redefining midlife. It's a revelation, y'all. It's creativity. It's rediscovering the joy of being you in midlife and beyond. Have a peaceful night, y'all. I absolutely love y'all. See y'all again soon. And even if you think of something after we end this broadcast, still you can put it in the chat and go back and revisit some of the other Monday night in the meditation rooms and just review and revisit because this is an opportunity for you to fall back in love with you. Have a great evening, y'all. Love y'all. See y'all next time. Good night. Say good night to your sister. Till I'll see you again later. Awesome, awesome. Yay, Dina. I know I'm so excited. I'm absolutely right in the midst of doing my meditation teacher training and breathwork training. I'm so excited and glad to be able to include it in the work that I've been called to do for this season. Good night, y'all. Thank you. Dream about your amazing self. See y'all.